okay, you mentioned you're writing for Star Trek Adventure, so let's
Right.
switch over to gaming for a little bit
Let's
because
do that thing.
we both started out probably late '70s, right around 1980.
Yeah.
I was playing
That
mostly advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and you got to get the advanced in there because Dungeons
advanced
and
Dungeons and
Dragons was a
Dragons.
different
Not
game.
not even first edition. It was advanced Dungeons and
Yeah, well,
Dragons.
it was the only edition, so
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Sadly, I
Oh yeah.
don't
No,
have any of my
that's
rule books anymore, but yeah, that's
mine were lost in the fire. The same fire that claimed some of my checks have claimed a lot of my gaming stuff. 25. I think it was before I'd even moved back to the panel before we started interacting online.
yeah,
I'd lost a lot of that stuff, and some of the rest of it I, in a foolish fit of pique after a horrendous breakup, I got rid of some of it at the local gaming store, and
yeah,
that which survived. Unfortunately, was some of the stuff that she had given me, and the big irony, we're friends again.
yeah, yeah. Well,
we were
that's
we, we're good friends. We were a horrible couple, but we were good friends.
yeah. I sold mine off in the early days of eBay, so I needed the money.
Oh,
And I,
been
actually,
there, done that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, that was we played.
Yeah,
We were playing
I
AD&D. We played Traveler. I did a
Traveler.
blog post about
I
Traveler.
saw that. I love that. Oh wow, dying in Caragen. I had we would do entire Caragen sessions until everybody had one that survived.
Oh, I mean,
And
that was the best part of the game was creating the character and doing
you
all
know
the military service and everything.
you're rolling for your tours, and it's like, and then you get to survival, and it's like, okay, guys, here we go. Whew, I made it to an. I lived to see another tour.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're,
yeah, and then we'd have to come up with, it was like, well, you can't just die. How did it happen? You know, what were you doing? It was so.
yeah. Well, then
It was,
you get to the end of your term, and you're like, I want more skills. I want more mustering out benefits. Do I go for another term and risk that?
yeah.
Risk dying again?
I'm pushing. I'm 48 years old in game terms right now. You die early in this game.
Yeah.
Old, old age, for such an advanced culture, old age happened fast. Mark was vicious.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There were all these fancy medical technologies, but they couldn't stop the aging process. And you started losing it in your 30s.
Yeah, I
You
know.
start losing physical attributes in your 30s. Of course,
I felt that. I remember that.
yeah.
I remember that from my 30s.
Yeah.
If there's one thing the 51-year-old me could say to the 21-year-old me who was still in the Air Force at the time, it's like when the Air Force comes a calling about those knees, say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, don't be young and invincible. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
You're coming to you're about 23 after you've really messed up your knees doing, of all things, playing softball. I mean, I didn't even hurt myself in doing anything military. I was in the squadron softball team, and I took one too many slides into third.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a Jimmy Buffett song. The whole song starts out with he sliding into first base and something goes snap.
Yep. But yeah, there was a lot of AD&D. There was a lot of Traveler. There was a lot of Gamma World.
Yeah, we did.
Lots of Gamma World, and then I found Marvel superheroes, and
Yeah, once I graduated high school, I kind of lost touch with the gaming group, but we were doing AD&D, Traveler, Top Secret, which I think you and I are both
yeah,
expecting the new Top Secret here soon.
indeed. I'm hoping that the game that we unwrap is going to be good enough to make up for the horrible Kickstarter and the relatively shoddy way in which the revived TSR games has been treating people regarding said horribly run Kickstarter. I
What?
was not enthused.
uh,
I was not enthused.
yeah. What particular problems were you noticing?
well, well, the problems I was noticing is that okay, we've made our goal many times over. We're not going to tell anybody where the extra money is going to go. Is it going to go into the product? Are we going to get more product? I mean, when John Wick did Seventh Sea Second Edition, and set all the records for a long time as far as role playing. I mean, you got nearly a dozen books.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for 40, for a $40 pledge, you with the top secret, you pledge $50, you're getting the box, which is what I'd pay for the box retail.
Right.
Uh, but there were no stretch goals. There were no their communication, at least especially early on, was terrible. Here it is, closing on the end of March. We were supposed to have this thing in time for Christmas.
Yeah, I have not seen many Kickstarters that actually make their date.
Well, here's the thing, I haven't either. Seventh Sea didn't, but you want to know what happened? John was online saying, "Here's the problem," and he would outline the problem, and he'd apologize. And we never heard. You barely hear from. You're hearing a lot from him now that the boxes are in the warehouse, and getting packed to ship. But
yeah, I don't. He was doing a op, opening the box of one of his test prints.
yeah,
Back in October or November. So I don't know
yeah.
why it took so long to actually ramp up
Actually,
the
actually wind
production.
up getting on a boat, and
Well, yeah.
I'm
Uh,
well, and that's the state of the gaming business, and I got no issue with things getting put on a boat and taking time to get here.
mm-hmm.
I mean that's but I do have issues not being told what's going on, and more than a couple of people apparently had their money refunded and gently but firmly kicked off the Kickstarter list if they complain vocally about something. I was not enthused with how they were running their show.
Yeah. Yeah, I backed a Dungeons and Dragons documentary several years ago, and it went into a pit. They got tied up into some kind of legal wrangling, and I have no
Oh yeah.
idea what the state of that thing is. It's, as far as I know, it's dead.
No,
Whatever
nobody
money I
does.
gave towards it is gone, probably.
Yeah. I've backed very few Kickstarters. Mostly they're ones that friends have done, or there's something I really, really, really was excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I backed. I backed Shadowrun Returns, the video game, when Jordan Wiseman got the video game rights.
Yeah, I backed that one, and that turned out good. That
it
actually
turned out really good. I backed Hong Kong. I haven't finished it. I finished. You went into you went from the tabletop into the video game consoles and things like that. And you're good at that. I never was. I suck at video games. I'm terrible. I've made it through Shadowrun Returns once. I'm on in Shadowrun Dragonfall. I'm at one point, and I don't expect to ever get out because I can't figure out how to.
Yeah.
How to get past this. I can't even get past the opening on Shadowrun Hong Kong. I've got all this material that I have downloaded. I have no idea how to make it work. I've always been better with pen and paper. I was like, I Hulk
Yeah.
smash, boom.
Um, yeah, well, you're doing better than I have because I haven't even finished the original Shadowrun because I started it and I got distracted by something else. Because
Oh
I
yeah,
have.
something shiny. That's another one of my problems. I see something. There are all sorts of shiny objects.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, we'll leave my kids out of it. I'm just talking about the shiny objects. I have 3 kids ranging from 23 months to 12 years, uh, with a variety of special needs. So I mean, it's a wonder I get anything done at all.
Well, you do it late at night, which is
I
sort
do
of.
things late at night. Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I have to operate. Even with grown children, I still have to operate it late at night. um, yeah, but I mean, I'm a obsessive collector of video games, so I have hundreds, either digitally or physically, in my library, and I will never play them all. I keep saying, well, eventually I get to this, and eventually I get to that, and
As
just
in shiny object A.
and then it's like, well, this particular game is getting kind of boring, so I'm going to go back to this one that I played 100 hours, and then spend a few dozen more hours in it.
If it's a cool game world, then that's I don't I get so frustrated because like I can't remember because I have the manual dexterity of a drunken ox, so getting my hands to work on the controls has never been particularly easy for me. So I just there we go. I backed this. I backed that. I backed Seventh Sea. I backed Top Secret.
Hmm.
And I see all these horror stories about Kickstarter's gone horribly wrong, and I've never had one that has gone horribly wrong. I've had a couple that have gone pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like New World, Top Secret New World Order. I hope the game is enough to make me change my mind, but right now I'm thinking this is the only product of theirs that I'm ever going to buy, just based on the way they're treating their customers.
Right.
I would love for them to convince me otherwise. I'd love to have a good espionage game. I want, of course, I want a game that I can go from Robert Vaughn, Man from Uncle, all the way up to Vin Diesel and Triple X.
Hmm.
And everything in between. I don't know what the default is. I'm hoping the default is somewhere around Daniel Craig in Casino Royale, but I don't know where the default is.
Yeah, it's a really different looking rule set, and it's going to be kind of fun trying to figure it out. I finally got my kids into gaming, so
Cool.
we do D&D 5th edition.
I've sat down with my oldest son, who will be 9 in May, and he is autistic, so we have issues with focus
Hmm.
on frequent occasion. But he has expressed interest in that on more than one occasion. So it's eventually, I have bought the PHB for every edition of Dungeons and Dragons since 1980, and 5th edition was no different. This is the first one where no, this is the second one. I didn't buy the DMG or the Monster Manual for 4th, because at that time I wasn't running anything and I didn't see the need to spend another $100.
Yeah.
And 4th had some interesting things going on in it, but for the most part, it was kind of a cluster. But 5th, I think 5th is beautifully done. what I have seen
Yeah.
of it. I think it is. I mean, from the physical presentation of the book on up, I think they put a lot of work into it. I was glad to see them actually listen to their playtesters. I could point you to game companies that I will not name in this video, who don't, who they have a preconceived notion of how they want it to turn out. They're playtesting it so they can say they playtested it.
Right. Yeah, I skipped over second edition completely. I played third edition, but only in terms of video games. The BioWare and Obsidian games based on third edition and 3.5 edition.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the rules. I skipped fourth edition. Fifth edition came out. I bought the starter set, introduced the kids to it. They loved it, so I went out and got the books. The Dungeon Master's Guide is a waste of money.
Is it?
Unless you have never ever run a pen and paper game and need some help figuring out how to run a game, there's nothing in it other than some treasure tables and monster tables. It's a bunch of advice on how to run games, and don't need that.
Sad. Yeah.
But the player's handbook is fantastic. I can sit down with the player's handbook and the kids, and my wife joins in out of pity. And
when Decipher had the Star Trek license, 10 plus years ago, my wife very generously to mollify me rolled up a Cation Mystic, because who doesn't want to play a feline priest? Nothing ever came of that game, and I don't think anything ever will. But but she, I finally asked her, said, "You have zero interest in this at all, right?" "Right. Okay. You don't have to do this. Don't force yourself to do this." She said, "Oh, okay. I don't partake in the one hobby that she's got that I really enjoy is her love of detective TV shows. We've been through the A&E Nero Wolfe more times than I care to count.
Yes, I have the DVD sitting over here.
Yeah, the DVDs for Nero are in the other room, but we got both complete sets. Maury Chaykin was a revelation in that one.
Those are brilliant.
I thought I love the conceit that they everybody with the exception of like Timothy Hutton and Maury and Colin Fox and the guy who played the inspector, Bill Smitrovich. Everybody else was a repertory actor and almost never played the same character twice. I thought that was brilliant, because it gave so many of those actors something, just this incredible range to do things. James Tolkien, you could tell he was having a blast with every episode that they shot.
Did lead to the one episode where Carrie Matches had to play Lily Rowan and the lounge club singer in the same episode, which they managed to pull off. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll buy that.
Yeah. And I'll watch just about anything with Carrie Matches in it. It's like,
my daughter loves the Nero Wolfe.
What does she think of Leverage? Did she ever watch Leverage?
I don't think so.
Carrie Matches is in that. Timothy Hutton obviously is in that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I think if she sat down and gave it, I think she'd probably enjoy it if she enjoyed what Hutton did as Archie and
Archie Goodwin's her favorite character, and it's hard to argue with that. He's so brilliant at it.
I see. I get something. I've watched it. I've watched the entire series, both seasons, and the Golden Spider. 8 or 9 times, the whole series. sat through and watched it.
Yeah.
I get something new out of it that I missed every time. Sometimes it's a costuming thing, and you're watching the set design and the color palette. Sometimes it's a bit of acting business over here, with something between Nero and Fritz. Sometimes it's a look on Archie's face, but I mean, I've probably watched the entire series 9 or 10 times, and I will get something new out of it every time.
Mm-hmm.
That would, if it weren't for some franchises don't lend themselves to games. Nero does not lend himself to games because it's all about him.
Well,
like in a role-playing game, they had a James Bond role-playing game. Name on the cover, James Bond 007.
I remember that.
The system was really fairly cool. I liked the system, and if you took a little bit of effort to file off some serial numbers, you could make it about some other spy agency. But when you're playing in that universe, who do you want to be? Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there's a much less stratified. You wanted to be Connery.
Well, yeah, the Nero Wolfe. I mean, the Stout books. They're not even really about the mysteries. It's about Wolfe's orations.
Ego.
It's all about Wolfe talking. That's what the books are. And it's amazing that he makes them as interesting as he did, because I love the books. And then it's amazing that they've turned those into credible TV shows where you have to actually, move around and not just sit around talking all the time.
Yeah, they actually came up, and I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've read the originals from Stout, but I don't remember Wolfe getting up and leaving the house nearly as often as he did in the show. The fact that they came up with reasons to get him out of the house and made it believable. Like I said, the writing on the series was just remarkable, and it's a pity that Maury Chaykin passed away, because I would have loved to have found some way to get them back together for a third season. I wish they had been able to do that.
Yep, those are good.
But that's a franchise that does not lend itself to gaming. At least with Trek and Star Wars, there's a lot going on, and you can.
I've played Star Wars video games, and some of them are actually halfway decent. But I don't know, Star Wars as a role playing game does not fascinate me that much. I could see myself playing Star Trek a little more, because there's a little more variety. Star Wars, I guess you can introduce variety, but the actual franchise is.
Oh, the franchise itself is this railroad from beginning to end, in which which unfortunately for every Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi moment, you wind up with Kylo Ren somewhere down the road.